So this tutorial takes you through the process of creating the proximity model. The whole purpose is to identify areas that are within a specific travel distance from the facilities that we think are important. So as the starting point, you obviously need to open your ARC catalog. And then from your ARC catalog, that's where you launch your model builder. Just maximize that. Right now, you need to fit the model builder window on the screen so that you can view both the ARC catalog and the model builder. So now I'll just pull off some of the datasets that I need for my model into model builder. So starting with the streets data. With that, I'll need to first of all create a service area layer. This is the layer where your service area that will eventually be calculated will be stored, and the service area is basically the area from the points of interest. So for example, clinics, schools and so forth. The service area is the area of interest around those specific facilities. So under analysis, make service area layer. So now I'm just going to replicate this tool by copying and pasting. I've done that 3 times because we've got 3 data elements that we'll be looking at. Now I'm going to just connect these tools to the street dataset to say that you should create the service area layer based on the street network. The next step is to add locations. So we've got the service area layer which is empty, and I want to add the locations where we want to create the service area around. So add locations, and again I'll copy and paste these 3 times. The other datasets that I'll need back to my main geo database. So we're going to create a service area around the clinics, around the schools, and around the public transport, which includes bus stop and the commuter omnibus stops. So now I will tell the model that I want to use these locations and based on this particular service area layer, and I'll do the same for all 3 datasets. Right. Once I've done that, I'll need to define my parameters. So by double clicking on the tool, you can see that distance is one of the parameters here. I'll just change this to 2000, and I'll do the same for the other 2 parameters. Now after setting the distance as parameters, I would like to expose the model parameters, right? So I'll make a variable form parameter, and of particular interest is the search tolerance, which defines the travel distance from your points of interest. So in this case, 2 kilometers from the clinics, I'll make that model parameter. I'll explain later what it means to make this a model parameter. Right, so it's also good practice to just space out your tools properly so that you can have a uniform spread across the model. So now I'll rename this to distance to clinics. And I'll do the same for this one. Not clinics, but schools. Right. So now we've got our 3 service area layers. Now I want to solve. We've just created the empty service area layers and defined the specific parameters, but we haven't solved anything. Now we use the solve. And again, I'll copy this 3 times. Right. Establish a connection with the service area layer. Okay, one thing that I forgot to do, I set the parameters here, but I need to tell the model that this is a model parameter. What this means is later on when you compile the model, you get a dialog box. These are the specific parameters that are exposed so that you don't have to manipulate the model to run it. Okay, so now we've got the solve and we've got the service area layers. From these, okay, I'll just spread these out. To make good use of my space. Okay, so once we've solved, we've got a layer that's got a couple of other elements. So we've got the points, we've got the polygons, but you specifically want the areas. Now out of this, we need to use a select tool that's found under data management, general, select data. And I'll do that 3 times. Okay, so I'll join that to my service area layer. you can see, it's selected facilities, but from that layer we want polygons, not the facilities. So polygons. Okay. So now we got our polygons. The next obvious step is to combine these so that we've got a unified service area layer which meets our criteria defined previously. So to do that, we use the intersect command. And then we intersect the 3 polygons. Okay, before you intersect, I've noticed just from experience that it's good to generalize your data before you intersect it. The purpose of generalizing it is to dissolve the lots of polygons that are produced when you create the service area layer. So the first thing before intersecting is to dissolve, which is under generalization. We're dissolving the boundaries here. Okay. All right, as you can see, if the boxes are not colored, it means that there is something missing like this. So if you double click, then you can see that it's the location of the output that's missing. I'm just going to save this in my model output folder that I've created before, or rather a file geodatabase that I've created before, and I'll just replace these old files. So polydissolve1, do the same here. Okay, now we've got our dissolved polygons, then we can intersect. So after intersecting, this is the last step of the model. Need to give it a proper name. So these are the accessible areas. I'll just save that. So that's our full model. The obvious next step is to compile it. As you know that the model, it's just a compilation of a lot of Java pieces of code. So compiling it is checking if all the components of your code works well. And that's that. After you compile, you run the model. So running the model will take quite a bit of time. I'll just end this video here, then I'll show you the results later on.